Life is a constant evolution. Every moment that passes is an invitation to become something greater than you were yesterday. The truth is, the old version of you has already served its purpose. The habits that once sustained you, the beliefs that once guided you, the fears that once limited you, all of them have carried you to the point where you stand today. But if you are to go further, if you are to climb higher, you must shed that old skin and demand a stronger, wiser, more disciplined version of yourself to take its place. Growth is not a luxury, it is a necessity. And growth is never accidental. It requires decision, discipline, and the courage to step away from comfort into challenge. Think for a moment about the life you desire most. See it in your mind's eye. Picture the health, the wealth, the influence, the relationships, the peace of mind, and the success that you crave. That vision is not random, it is calling you forward. But here is the great truth. The person you are today cannot reach that vision. Only the person you are capable of becoming can, and so the task before you is clear. You must force yourself to outgrow the old version of you. You must deliberately break free from every chain of habit, every shackle of limitation, and every excuse that ties you to yesterday. The old you may have been lazy at times, choosing comfort over progress. The old you may have procrastinated, letting days slip by without decisive action. The old you may have settled for less, convincing yourself that average was good enough. But deep down you know that average never satisfies the soul. Mediocrity never excites the spirit. You were not created to merely survive. You were created to thrive. And to thrive, you must demand a higher standard of yourself. You must set fire to your old ways and step into a new season of discipline, action, and relentless pursuit. Consider the oak tree. It begins as an acorn, small, fragile, seemingly insignificant. Yet within that acorn lies the potential to become mighty, to rise above all other trees, to withstand storms, to provide shelter, and to bear countless seeds of its own. But the acorn must first break. It must outgrow the old version of itself, shatter the shell, push through the soil, and stretch toward the sun. If it refused to break open, it would remain only an acorn, full of promise, but never realizing it. And so it is with you. You carry within you seeds of greatness, but you must be willing to break open the shell of your old habits, your old beliefs, your old excuses, and let the new version of you emerge. Understand this. Forcing yourself to outgrow the old you is not an act of violence against yourself, but an act of love. You are not discarding who you were. You are honoring that version of yourself by refusing to let it define your limits. You are acknowledging that you were made for more, and make no mistake. Growth is uncomfortable. Change is unsettling. The old you will resist. Your mind will whisper, "Stay where you are. Don't push too hard. Don't risk too much." But those whispers are the voice of stagnation, and you must silence them with action. Growth requires discipline, and discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you wish to be. Discipline is the power to wake up when you would rather sleep, to work when you would rather rest, to persist when you would rather quit. Discipline is the daily decision to align your actions with your vision, even when it hurts, even when it costs, even when it demands sacrifice. Without discipline, the old you reigns supreme. With discipline, the new you emerges in power. Think of the great achievers of history. They did not become extraordinary by chance. They were ordinary men and women who forced themselves to grow beyond the limitations of their time, their environment, and their own weaknesses. They mastered their thoughts, controlled their habits, and demanded of themselves more than the world demanded of them. They rose not because it was easy, but because they refused to remain the same. That is the essence of transformation. That is the path you must choose. Do not deceive yourself into believing that time alone will make you grow. Time only deepens what you already are. If you spend your days in weakness, time will multiply your weakness. If you spend your days in indecision, time will multiply your indecision. Growth comes not from the passage of days, but from the choices you make within them. You must choose to rise, you must choose to stretch, you must choose to demand more of yourself than you ever have before. Force yourself to face your fears. The old you may have run from them, avoided them, or pretended they did not exist. But the new you must stand in front of them and declare that they no longer hold power. Fear is nothing but faith turned in the wrong direction. It is belief in defeat instead of belief in victory. To outgrow the old version of you, you must replace fear with faith, doubt with determination, and hesitation with bold action. Every time you face what you once avoided, you weaken the hold of the old you and strengthen the power of the new. Force yourself to abandon excuses. The old you may have explained away your failures, blaming circumstances, other people, or bad luck. But the new you must accept full responsibility for your life. Excuses are lies wrapped in justification. They keep you tied to yesterday while robbing you of tomorrow. The moment you stop excusing and start executing, transformation begins. The new you is not a victim of conditions. The new you is the creator of conditions. The new you understands that success is never given, only created by effort, persistence, and faith. Force yourself to change your environment if it holds you back. The old you may have surrounded yourself with people who fed your doubts, mocked your dreams, or encouraged your complacency. But the new you must walk with those who sharpen your mind, challenge your growth, and believe in your potential. Association is powerful. It can either lift you up or drag you down. To outgrow the old you, you must sometimes outgrow old relationships, old circles, old influences. This is not betrayal, it is alignment. When you walk with the wise, you grow wise. When you walk with the stagnant, you remain stagnant. Choose wisely. Force yourself to expand your vision. The old you may have dreamed small, setting goals that were safe and comfortable. But the new you must dare to dream so big that it scares you. Your dream must be large enough to pull you forward when motivation fades. It must be powerful enough to ignite passion, discipline, and perseverance. A small dream requires little growth. A great dream requires a great transformation. Let your vision be so bold that it demands you to outgrow who you are today in order to fulfill it. Force yourself to embrace failure as a teacher. The old you may have feared failure, avoiding risks and retreating at the first sign of defeat. But the new you understands that failure is not the end, but the beginning of wisdom. Every failure carries a lesson. Every setback hides a seed of success. Every defeat plants the root of future victory. To outgrow the old you, you must stop running from failure and start running toward the lessons it holds. Failure is not your enemy, it is your coach. Welcome it, learn from it, rise above it. Force yourself to master your mind. The old you may have been a prisoner of negative thoughts, allowing worry, doubt, and fear to dominate your decisions. But the new you must seize control of your thinking, for thought is the foundation of destiny. As a man thinks, so he becomes. Train your mind to dwell on success, to expect victory, to imagine abundance, to see possibilities where others see problems. When you master your thoughts, you master your world. When you feed your mind with strength, courage, and clarity, the old you withers, and the new you flourishes. Force yourself to build habits that serve your future. The old you may have wasted hours on distractions, indulged in unhealthy routines, or neglected the disciplines that create greatness. But the new you must construct habits like bricks in a fortress. Habits of reading, of planning, of exercise, of gratitude, of relentless action. Habits are the silent architects of destiny. What you do daily shapes what you become permanently. Outgrow the habits of yesterday by replacing them with the habits of tomorrow. Force yourself to persist. The old you may have quit too soon. stopping just before the breakthrough. But the new you must develop a spirit that refuses to surrender. Persistence is the fuel of transformation. It is the determination to keep moving when everything in you says stop. It is the resilience to rise after every fall, to push after every setback, to believe after every disappointment. When you persist, you outgrow weakness and cultivate strength. Force yourself to act now. The old you may have waited for the perfect moment, convincing yourself that tomorrow would be better. But tomorrow is not promised. The only time you own is now. Delay is the assassin of destiny. Action is the creator of opportunity. To outgrow the old you must stop waiting and start working. You must decide today, act today, commit today, and move today. Greatness is not built in some distant future. It is built in the decisions you make now. And finally, force yourself to believe. The old you may have doubted your worth, questioned your ability, and underestimated your potential. But the new you must embrace belief as the cornerstone of transformation. Belief is the spark that ignites action, the foundation that supports persistence, the power that sustains vision. When you believe in yourself, when you believe in your purpose, when you believe in the possibility of success, you become unstoppable. Belief transforms the impossible into the inevitable. So I say to you today, the old version of you has brought you far, but it cannot take you further. You must rise, you must stretch, you must break free. Do not wait for change to happen. Force it, demand it, command it. Step out of who you were and into who you were meant to be. The world does not need another copy of yesterday's you. The world needs the new you, the stronger you, the wiser you, the disciplined you, the unstoppable you. And when you become that version, not only will your life change, but you will become a beacon for others to do the same. Outgrow the old version of you, for it is the only path to the greatness that awaits. Growth is never accidental, and it is never easy. To outgrow the old version of yourself, you must embrace a relentless pursuit of self-improvement. You must remind yourself daily that the price of transformation is discomfort, and the reward of transformation is freedom. Think of the chains that once held you back, the self-doubt, the wasted time, the endless excuses. Each of those chains can only be broken when you decide to stretch beyond them. The old you clings to familiarity, while the new you thrives on challenge. The old you hides from responsibility, while the new you embraces accountability. And each day that you act in alignment with the new you carve a new identity, one that cannot be shaken by fear, rejection, or failure. Do not fall into the trap of nostalgia for the old version of yourself. Sometimes people become so attached to their former selves that they resist change, even when change is necessary. They look back at old achievements, old routines, or old ways of living, and they use them as justification to stay the same. But if you are always looking back, you cannot move forward. You must learn to honor the past without being imprisoned by it. The victories of yesterday cannot carry you through tomorrow. Each new level of life demands a new version of you. If you cling to who you were, you will never discover who you are capable of becoming. Forcing yourself to outgrow the old you also means embracing the unknown. The path ahead is often unclear. You will not always see the full picture of your future, but you must have the courage to step forward anyway. The old you waits for certainty before moving. The new you acts in faith. The old you fears failure. The new you sees failure as a stepping stone. The old you hesitates. The new you advances. And as you continue to step forward into the unknown, you will discover that the very act of moving creates clarity. The fog lifts only for those who walk into it with courage. You must also understand that outgrowing the old version of you requires patience. Growth is not always explosive or obvious. Sometimes it is quiet, hidden, invisible to others. Like the roots of a tree spreading deep underground before a single leaf appears, your growth may not be visible for a time. But just because it is unseen does not mean it is not happening. Each small decision to choose discipline over distraction, courage over fear, responsibility over excuse, builds the new you. Every act of persistence, every lesson from failure, every moment of self-control is a brick in the foundation of your transformation. When the temptation arises to return to your old ways, remember that comfort is the greatest enemy of progress. The old you may whisper, "Take it easy, settle down, you've done enough." But you must answer, "I was not created to settle, I was created to rise." The old you may crave comfort, but the new you seeks challenge. The old you may cling to security, but the new you understands that real security lies in growth. To outgrow the old version of you is to accept that true fulfillment is not found in ease, but in achievement, not in comfort, but in conquest, not in safety, but in stretching beyond your limit. And so the decision rests with you. Will you cling to the old, or will you force yourself into the new? Will you live as a shadow of who you were, or will you rise as the fullest expression of who you can become? Every day you choose. Every day you decide whether to remain or to rise, and those daily choices will define your destiny. Outgrow the old version of yourself, for only then will you meet the person you were always meant to be. The journey of outgrowing the old version of yourself is not a single event, but a continuous process of refinement. Each day presents you with opportunities to choose whether you will remain bound by yesterday's patterns, or whether you will rise to new heights of discipline and strength. Too many people believe that transformation comes with a sudden burst of inspiration, a lightning strike of motivation that changes everything at once. But the truth is, transformation comes through small, consistent decisions that compound over time. The old you can be defeated only when you decide again and again to reject the habits that no longer serve you and to embrace those that shape the future you desire. There will be times when the voice of the old you grows loud. It will call you back to your comfort zone, to the patterns that feel safe and familiar. It will try to convince you that growth is too difficult, that change is unnecessary, that the life you have is good enough. But good enough is the death of greatness. Good enough is the excuse of those who never rise beyond mediocrity. If you are to live with purpose, you must silence that voice with decisive action. When the old you says rest, the new you must say work. When the old you says wait, the new you must say act. When the old you says quit, the new you must say persist. Every moment of resistance strengthens the new version of yourself. Understand, too, that transformation is not just about external achievement, but about internal mastery. The old version of you may have chased approval, living for the opinions of others, bending and shrinking to fit expectations. But the new version of you must stand firm in authenticity, guided not by external applause, but by internal conviction. When you no longer need validation to confirm your worth, you step into true power. The old you may have been reactive, swayed by emotions, easily angered, easily discouraged. The new you must be steady, calm, resilient, unshaken by storms, because you know who you are and where you are going. The act of forcing yourself to outgrow the old you is, in reality, a declaration of independence. It is freedom from every limitation, every failure, every fear that once defined you. You are declaring that your past will not determine your future, that your mistakes will not dictate your destiny, that your comfort will not control your potential. Each time you rise above the old patterns, you gain strength. Each time you choose discipline over distraction, you gain clarity. Each time you refuse to settle, you gain momentum, and as momentum builds, you discover that what once seemed impossible is now within reach. Remember, the person you are today is the result of choices you made in the past. The person you will become tomorrow depends on the choices you make today. The old you cannot walk into the future that belongs to the new you. You must leave behind what no longer serves you. You must cut away the excuses, the fears, the habits, the environments, the relationships that keep you small. And when you do, you will find that you have not lost anything of real value. You will find that what you have gained, strength, clarity, courage, purpose, was worth every sacrifice. So when the temptation comes to hold on to the old you, remind yourself of this truth: the greatest tragedy is not failure, but refusing to grow. The greatest loss is not falling short, but never rising at all. Do not let the old version of you chain you to a life of smallness. Force yourself to break free. Force yourself to grow. Force yourself to become the version of you that your future, your purpose, and your destiny demand. To force yourself to outgrow the old version of you is to accept that the life you desire will not be handed to you. It must be earned. The old you may have hoped for luck, waiting for circumstances to change, waiting for opportunity to knock. But the new you must understand that opportunity does not knock for those who sit still. It comes to those who create it through persistence, vision, and work. The old you may have been passive, but the new you must be active. The old you waited for permission, but the new you must give yourself permission. The old you looked at obstacles as reasons to stop, but the new you must see them as invitations to grow stronger. Every step you take away from your old patterns is a step closer to freedom. Think about the areas of your life where the old you still lingers. Perhaps it is in your habits, where comfort still tempts you with procrastination. Perhaps it is in your mindset, where fear still whispers lies of inadequacy. Perhaps it is in your environment, where people and influences still chain you to mediocrity. Each of these areas must be confronted. Growth is not selective. It must be complete. You cannot transform one part of your life while clinging to the weaknesses of the past in another. If you want to rise fully, you must release fully. The old you may tell you that you are not ready. It will whisper that you need more preparation, more resources, more time. But readiness is not something that arrives. It is something that is built. You do not become ready before you start. You become ready because you start. The new you must embrace action as the cure for hesitation. Every great achievement began with someone who moved forward before they felt prepared. Every powerful transformation began with a single step of courage. If you wait for perfect conditions, you will wait forever. The old you waits, the new you moves. Do not underestimate the power of repetition. Forcing yourself to outgrow the old version of you is not about one grand decision, but about daily choices repeated until they become permanent. You train your mind, your habits, and your character the same way you train a muscle, through consistent practice. At first, the weight of discipline feels heavy, but with repetition it becomes easier. What once felt impossible becomes natural, and soon the old you becomes unrecognizable, replaced by strength, clarity, and purpose. It is also important to remember that growth is not just about personal gain, but about contribution. The old version of you may have been focused only on survival, only on your own comfort. But the new version of you must recognize that your transformation has the power to inspire others. Your growth is not just for you. It is for those who look to you as an example, those who draw strength from your courage, those who will rise because you chose to rise. When you step into the new you, you become a beacon of what is possible. The struggle to outgrow the old you is not easy, but it is necessary. Every time you choose growth over comfort, every time you demand more of yourself than you feel capable of, every time you refuse to retreat, you are proving that the new you is stronger than the old. And when the old you finally fades, when its voice no longer holds you back, when its patterns no longer control you, you will know the freedom of becoming. You will look back not with regret, but with gratitude For every battle you fought against yourself was the price of transformation. And that price is always worth paying. The truth is simple. The old version of you has carried you as far as it could, but it cannot take you any further. To step into the life you were meant to live, you must make the deliberate choice to grow beyond it. Growth will demand sacrifice, discipline, and courage. It will ask you to leave behind habits that once felt comfortable, people who no longer align with your purpose, and beliefs that once defined you but now limit you. Every time you choose to rise instead of settle, to act instead of delay, to persist instead of quit, you are building the new you. And when that version finally emerges, you will see that the struggle was not against the world, but against yourself. The greatest victory in life is not conquering others, but conquering the old you. Force yourself to grow, because your future deserves nothing less.